Alright, what's your favorite color?
Turquoise.
Turquoise. Hmm. Do you have a favorite visual artist?
Favorite visual artist?
Yeah.
It's hard to say right now.
You can do top 5, top 3. There's some favorite ones.
I really like a local artist that grew up in this neighborhood named Daniel Anglu.
How do you spell that last name?
I don't know how to spell it exactly. It's like Anguilieu or something like that.
Alright, I'll
But
figure it
he's
out.
done a lot of stuff in Midtown, a lot of murals.
Oh, those big murals?
Mhm.
Alright, now you're talking about.
Mhm.
Why do you like him?
I think because the first time I saw his work was on this abandoned building I had seen off of 75th Street, or near 75th Street, or closer to Wayside, and it was a tattoo shop I used to apprentice at, and back then they didn't have the rail and stuff back there, and there was just something really like distinctive about this piece that he had done. It was just like a window piece that he just like graffitied on, and it was like a mixture of like Mayan design with like graffiti, and you could see like the influence of the neighborhood in his like design layout. You could like almost like see the Folgers coffee factory like little like lines and things like that, and like it was just like the first piece I've ever seen that was just like, yeah, that is from Second Ward. This is like from this part of the neighborhood. Like it felt really regional, and it made me feel like I could like artistically identify with someone that was like representing like an area that I had grown up around. So I really appreciate that.
Alright. So you spent your whole life in Houston up until you went to New Mexico?
Not really. I was born in Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Right.
And then I was raised in between 3 regions in the southern New Mexico area.
Alright.
Which was High Rolls, which is like a small town off of the highway, up the mountain, 6,000 feet above sea level, where my grandfather had built a house, and then Sunspot, which is a little further up the mountain, in a neighboring valley that it's not a town or really a village. It's a scientific community of solar observers.
Alright.
And my father was a technical librarian for the solar observatory up there, and so they have like a small community of scientists and people who work at the observatory and their families, and that place was called Sunspot. And so it was Sunspot, High Rolls, and then I went to school in a town called Cloudcroft, and so I was living in that area up until I was about 8 years old, 8, 9, and then I moved to Houston, and then like every 2 years or so I would go back to New Mexico and stay for either half a year or a year, and went back every single year, at least to visit in the summer times, all the way up until, forever actually, so until I moved back there to live in 2011, and just recently moved back to Houston.
Alright. Cool. of all those places, including Houston, where's your favorite place to live? Or just where's your favorite place to spend time? Not to be to live so much, just to go to and visit.
Spend time.
Yeah. Which one was your favorite?
It's really hard to say. I have a lot of issues with the identity of home or like settling, but
The place you call home is going to be the one you like to go to the most.
I enjoyed being in the mountains. It didn't really matter where I was or in general. Like, if I'm in the mountains, I feel pretty good.
All right, cool.
The Rockies are beautiful, so.
They are beautiful. So, if you go on vacation anywhere, where would it be?
If I was to go on vacation,
Anywhere in the world. And it doesn't have to be something specific. It can be, I want to go to the city, I want to go to the beach, I want to go to the mountains. I mean, but you already said mountains, so just anywhere in general that you've always wanted to visit.
haven't been to Vancouver yet. I would like to go Canada. It's beautiful up there.
All right.
The Northwest is beautiful. Washington, Oregon's nice, and Northern California. I like those areas. I like Southeast Asia. I'd spent some time in Vietnam, and I went to Peru last year. I'm in the Andes Mountains. I would love to explore that some more.
Cool. All right. Have a favorite book?
Recently, I mean, I love everything by Kurt Vonnegut. Like, I used to be super obsessed with all of Kurt Vonnegut-ness as a teenager, but I read 100 Years of Solitude 2 years ago, and I really fell in love with Marquez's writing style.
All right.
Jared Diamond's a fucking sick writer too. Well, I mean, like, just his observations are amazing.
All right. You're a history major, so do you have any favorite historical figures?
Historical figures?
Yeah.
I really like Genghis Khan.
Why is that?
I'm just in love with the Mongol Empire. Like, I just think it's fucking sickest shit that's ever happened. I mean, it was really amazing. It's the largest contiguous land empire that ever has been in world history. And its span began in, like, Korea, all the way through Central Asia, through the entire Middle East, into parts of Africa, into all the way to Eastern Europe. So many cultures and languages and religious systems under one governmental system.
Right.
And it was the most peaceful empire that we've ever experienced. For all the bad rap that, like, Mongols get for being, like, super ruthless motherfuckers, like, they had a really violent marketing campaign in order to, like, get the power that they, took.
Mm-hmm.
But then once once their system was set, they created a really flexible, adaptable, peaceful system that allowed for things like the Pax Mongolica to happen, which was, was global trade. It was the first global trade system. It's pretty interesting stuff.
All right. It's interesting to know all that. I knew that the huge empire is the biggest. I didn't know about the Pax Mongolica.
Should read up on it. It's so great.
Cool. Do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I'm really into Stephen Chow movies these days.
Stephen Chow.
Fucking great director, dude. Oh, man.
It's called Chow.
Yeah, Chow, just like Chow, C-H-O-W.
Alright.
His being like a ethnically mixed person, half Vietnamese and half white person. Stephen Chow being a Chinese director and making his like his sense of humor both Western and Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that really speaks to me. And Kung Fu, because my stepdad's a Kung Fu teacher, and like he's just fucking hilarious. Like his movies are pretty much all the same, but it doesn't matter because they're so great. He like did Kung Fu Hustle.
All right.
It's a great movie.
That's pretty fun.
Shaolin Soccer.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, so good.
Shit. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what is your greatest fear?
My greatest fear?
Yeah.
Not fulfilling my life's purpose.
That's funny. I get that answer a lot. I get that answer a whole lot. All right. What do you think your life's purpose is?
Well, that's a pretty fucking loaded question.
I mean, you can say still searching. It's not, like I said, answer any way you want.
Well, I don't think that there is really any kind of like specific purpose, That's something that, you can refine and create over time, but mainly to love as much as possible and in the most, in the most real way that you can, that includes, like having convictions, having a solid philosophical base that you feel, sturdy in, and then also then acting on the integrity of those convictions.
So, part of it is becoming a fully developed person in general.
Yeah.
Alright, and then after that you figure out, or you go from there basically?
Well, yeah, it's like, it resonates from in outward,
Yeah.
So, if you're if you're actualized within yourself and then those things will manifest themselves outwardly. Is the ideal, mode.
Yeah. Alright. Do you prefer your mother or your father?
Prefer?
Prefer is always a weird answer. I mean, a really weird question, because it's always like, I'm still wondering if it's the parent that the person prefers, or the parent that the person like respects. I think both of those have different ramifications in a person's mind, especially towards their development. Like, you can prefer your mother, but if you want to emulate your father, it's always the person you you concern your mind with more. So, I mean, person you would have beer with, which one would you hang out with more? Which one do you like more?
What I'll say is, I've struggled with respecting my father, and I would love to have the opportunity to respect him, and I feel like I've failed to find a means to do that. So, it's very easy for me to respect my mother.
Alright. Well, and I'm just asking for realism or abstraction as far as that goes.
My prefer?
Yeah.
No, that's something that would be very impossible for me to answer.
I see you make abstract art or abstract painting.
Yeah, it's true, huh? That it's not that I prefer it. It's that
It's the me
that's just
working.
how it manifested as I was developing in my craft.
Right.
I admire a lot of realism and as I get more settled in my ways, I would love to practice and refine it more.
Yeah.
Um, I feel kind of like the study of history has been like a study of realism.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I don't know. But
But
that's kind of in itself an abstraction, right? To say as an artist that I studied history and so I like realism.
yeah, it's an abstract form of realism.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
The
remember.
surrealism, right?
Yeah. No, I asked Ron that question, and Ronald, and he was like, I prefer abstraction, but you're a photographer. Well,
Mhm.
I abstract the moments. He said it in some strange way. That's really cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a lot of play. Like that's the thing I was saying earlier. Like when you ask these questions to artists and they think about these things deeper, you get a lot more loaded answers. So there's a lot more to dig through. But that's fine. It's definitely more to work with, which I like.
I recently, as like a research project, studied the philosophy of surrealism, which is really fascinating. It involves alchemy and
Well,
all
it's
kinds of
tied to a lot
crazy
of
stuff.
psychology, of the
Mhm.
time. That was like the big thing when when the surrealists were starting with psychology was like really taking hold and like
Mhm.
that people were really starting to understand the mind and like pay a lot more attention to that. So that's a lot of the roots in surrealism. Like Salvador Dali, one of his heroes was Freud,
Yeah, definitely.
and Nietzsche and Freud are like
Mhm.
this pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much
Uh,
Germans.
yeah.
But
Well, Freud is Austrian,
yeah, well,
but yeah, it's all
they're pretty
the
much
same.
the same. I
Yeah.
would, like I'm sure Austrians would have a problem with that, but it's true though. It's true. My stepfather's German and he grew up in Austria, but
They all speak German. It's the same.
they're Austrians. They're just like there's like some weird tension. It's just prettier in Austria, so they don't want to like associate themselves with Germany. No,
Right
we're
on.
prettier than the Germans. That's how I see it, at least.
Yeah.
But I
True.
wrote this paper actually trying to understand narcissism,
Uh-huh.
which like led me in this kind of like weird rabbit hole of different artists who've painted or the narcissists, and then also like a study of Greek mythology paired with psychology paired with surrealism. And I want people to read it, is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you want to read it, it's totally cool.
I'll read it. What made you want to write a paper on narcissism, though?
Oh, that's funny. Because we're all narcissists, and we're
Yeah.
into American individualism particularly, and as artists, I mean, like, you
Yeah,
have,
as
you,
artists, you have to be a narcissist. You
yeah,
cannot be an artist if you're not a narcissist.
yeah, and it's a cool thing to accept about your person, and to study it and confront it as like this kind of like social psychosis that we're all experiencing as artists. And
Mhm.
then to see how you can transcend your narcissism, by observing it first as the initial story in mythology,
Mhm.
and then as it developed into a psychological, like it's narcissism, like a true narcissist who's diagnosed with it is, it's tragic and it's a very painful thing to experience. And but we have elements of that just in the general in our society, and we can transcend that tragedy into, and which is part of the story of Narcissus, which is in the book of Metamorphosis written by this guy Ovid.
Mhm.
And it's about metamorphosis. You go from this miserable story of this guy who like self-deprecates and dies in love with his reflection, right?
Mhm.
And then he is reborn again into the flower Narcissus, and that's a flower that is on riverbeds or whatever like that. And the research paper that I did, like, it ends with Salvador Dali's Metamorphosis of Narcissus,
Mm-hmm.
and which is like the greatest.
It's one of his better paintings. For sure.
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, it's a really good painting, and it's definitely it's a good meditation on the transcending, truly transcending the ego and coming out on the other end in some form of humility, however you want to
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Mhm. Mastering your fucking narcissism.
Huh. Um. Uh, hmm. What's your drug of choice?
My drug of choice?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, my body says this, my brain says, it's like different lovers, like,
Fair.
which lover do you prefer?
Right on.
I don't like to destroy myself, so,
Nothing too hard.
I think cocaine isn't good for the soul. Like,
Right.
I think it detaches you from your soul, and it's abusive, it's just like chemically abusive, and I think heroin is definitely not the way to go unless you're 80. If I was 80 years old, just
Die.
all the way, man.
You would die if you did heroin.
It
You're
would
80.
probably be a great way to pass on into the other world.
Because Aldous Huxley, he did like a ton of acid a few hours before he died.
Ooh, no thank you. No, that's not the way to do it, man. I wouldn't want to do tons of acid before death.
He was on his deathbed and his guy's wife to slip it to him.
Dang. I do love acid, though. I really appreciate and respect it a lot.
There can be a class of drugs you like I like uppers, like down, like hallucinogens, and then that's just a particular drug.
I like to I don't know, I like to respect my vices. I'll do mushrooms, I'll do acid, when it's appropriate. It's not always like an appropriate thing, I feel like it's something, like when I need like clarity of mind or something, I can't like pass through, I'm having trouble like passing through some kind of like self-deprecation. Mushrooms and acid helps me transcend doubt a lot. I have a lot of trouble sometimes, hating on myself, and like that, the suicidal stuff that artists go through. Like, I think that psychedelics can really help you strengthen your spiritual convictions if you're, if you're in the meditation of it. And but yeah, my body needs like more marijuana because I have issues. I have high blood pressure, and I'm kind of like out of my body a lot of the time. Have breathing problems. I'm kind of a feisty person, like a fiery kind of person. I love whiskey. Like,
Right.
I drink whiskey like a freaking, I just love that shit. And I don't know why I'm just built that way. I guess it's because I'm Irish on my white side or something. I'm not really quite sure what the reason, but like, as I'm getting older, I'm like, I've been considering like, how do I want to respect the vice of alcohol, because alcohol is my hands down like go-to,
Alright.
for celebration, for processing.
So alcohol is your favorite drug?
Yeah, it's just something and it shouldn't be, you know what I mean?
It happens. I haven't found a single person I've asked that question to that didn't have an answer to it.
Yeah.
Even people that didn't do drugs, they could say they had a drug of choice.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. I mean, you can be a recovering alcoholic of 20 years and you can still sustain. Your drug of choice was alcohol.
Yeah,
Everything else didn't have a point.
I mean, like in drugs, it's such a harsh word.
Yeah. I mean, it's such
Vices,
a broad...
vices are spirits, I like that word, because they're kind of like spirits that you get involved with, you know what I mean? Like, they they affect you in a certain kind of way, you know, like you get into a certain frequency in every like kind of, you know, like mode. And you know, you can get into those modes without the use of drugs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just take it all into consideration as you develop into a person. I'm all about like growing. Like I want to die an old woman, you know. Like I have no desire to not die an old woman. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's my big like MO. Like
All right. Um, take care of yourself.
yeah, learning how to, you know, like and not like the tricky balance, not the, you know, because that's kind of what it's about being an artist, you know, like trying to find the way to you know, still get the richness and fullness of life, you know, while still, you know, not falling off the edge of I don't know, the living realm, you know?
Yeah. I had a question. If you could hang a if you could hang this painting anywhere in like your dream house, you know, a fucking 20-room mansion or whatever, where would you hang this painting?
This painting that you're gonna create.
Yeah.
Since I think space is relative, I would like it in my kitchen.
All right. All right. About how big would you want it?
The size that says personal.
Personal. All right. Spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
Depends on what kind of kitchen we're talking about.
What kind of kitchen are you talking about?
Depends on what you're cooking up.
All right.
You know?
All right. Let's say a normal kitchen. The food kitchen.
The food kitchen. If I could, I would. I would spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I love cooking.
You love cooking?
Mhm.
What's your favorite dish?
Favorite dish? My favorite dish. I like this vegetable called ramung. It's a Vietnamese
All right.
vegetable.
All right.
It's just a dark green vegetable, almost like a spinach-like, but it's a little tougher. Almost has like a mustard green kind of like toughness, but it's stringier. I don't know how to explain, but you boil the ramung, and then from the broth you make you just put some fish sauce and lime juice in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very simple. That and fish is my favorite.
What kind of fish?
Favorite thing. Some kind of like little fish.
What kind of little fish?
Fishes.
Like
Like
eating little fish?
Yeah, there's like all kinds of different little fishes you can eat. But yeah, I mean like tilapia is
Okay.
a fish that's kind of a bigger fish, but you know.
Tilapia is the big.
It's bigger than the fishes I'm thinking about.
I can't think of any fish that small that you should eat.
Yeah, it's because that's an American thing, you know. Like they eat like big fish and then they don't eat the whole thing. And Vietnamese food eat everything, you know. And, like,
throw the whole fish in the pot.
you fry a fish and you cut it up, and then you can, you know, you have to pick through the bones and stuff. Most Americans don't have the patience to eat like Vietnamese people do.
I'm not gonna lie, when I'm eating, I'm just like, it's something to get done with in my mind. I mean, I'll cook a great meal, but I'll eat as quick as I can. But I don't know, I don't like eating fish because I'm scared of eating a bone and
Yeah.
just dying because of that shit. I've choked on one of those before, and
Yeah, it takes patience, you know.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Do you consider yourself a patient person?
No.
No.
Not really. I can be. I have moments of clarity,
Alright.
but most of the time I'm pretty feisty. You know, it's like impatient and like kind of want to kick people in the face kind of thing. I try to like temper it with, you know, patience and stuff like that. But I find myself, especially in like romantic affairs, I've really screwed myself up with a lot of impatience and impulsiveness, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a tricky balance. You know, tricky balance. You got to know when to seize an opportunity, but you also have to know when to let go. You know, it's hard. Life is hard like that sometimes.
Alright. Alright. Mm-hmm. Do you have any favorite music?
Favorite music? That would be really hard to answer because I'm in the process of studying music more because I'm a songwriter, and like I just started this band called the Trigger Happy and the Love Machines. Trigger Happy and the Love Machines. And, a lot of my songs are kind of like these simple 3-verse, 3-chord structured, kind of more on the folky side, but they can rock a little bit.
What instrument do you play? Guitar?
I play ukulele.
Alright.
I have an electric ukulele.
Oh, rock and roll.
I rock it though. I'm telling you. But I like I listen to a lot of like Django Reinhardt, and I love jazz. You know, like jazz is like not really a genre. It's kind of like a loose framework that all music is encompassed in, and I love that about jazz. You know, and I love flamenco music. I love music that came from the era of convivencia, which was like Moorish Spain. There was a period where Judaism and Muslim and Christianity like all came together and created this awesome, you know, mixture of music. A lot of actually music that people associate with the Middle Ages was born out of that time frame too. But flamenco is like the most prominent kind of, I don't know, category that you could give that. But also like klezmer music is awesome, which is like Jewish gypsy stuff.
Right.
It's really rad stuff. You know, and fucking good old fashioned rock and or roll is definitely good stuff.
Cool.
The blues, and fuck yeah, man, all of it.
Alright.
R&B and hip hop and yeah, everything.
Alright. What's your favorite medium to work in?
Favorite medium to work?
In painting, songwriting, poetry, what have you. Sculpture, I don't see much sculpture. You do any sculpture?
Yeah, I like sculpture a lot. If I could, I would.
Sculpture your preferred medium?
I mean, it's hard to say preferred, you know?
Yeah.
It would be definitely novel for me because I've been living like a hobo for so many years, you know? Like, I don't have a studio space to, like, make constructs. If I did, that would be, you know, I can't imagine, like, being able to, and, I would have to make them, like, functioning sculptures because I don't believe in making big shit that just, like, ends up in someone's storage unit or something. Like, that just, like, hurts my feelings, you know?
Alright.
But yeah, I love clay. I love working with clay. It's such a beautiful, wonderful thing to do, is to work with clay.
Alright.
But I think, yeah, if I was gonna be ideal about my creative ventures or whatever, I think I would really like to do something like with video, because it encompasses all that shit, you know? Like I've never done any like I've storyboarded like music videos for my own songs and stuff like that. And
Right.
like a lot of fun.
But you want to work in video?
Yeah, I mean, like I would like to explore it, because it seems like it's something I could use all my, all my assets for, but I don't really know
Alright.
how I would do that. I'm just under the impression that that would be something I could do.
You can make a movie, what would it be about?
Ooh, if I could make a movie?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, yeah. I would probably do something really narcissistic, like my life or something. Like I mean, I love storytelling too. I love like satire shit. Like I'm fucking in love with Futurama is like my favorite like thing ever in the world. I mean, Matt Groening's just a genius. If I could ever like, artistically suck his dick, like I would do that, Not in reality. That doesn't seem pleasant at all. But if I could do that in expression, that would be like the greatest thing,
Right on.
Matt Groening, Stephen Chow, Miyazaki is fucking great. Animator, all those folks, dude. The dude that does home movies, that guy's voice, what's his face?
I don't remember his name. John Benjamin?
Is that his name? Yeah, he's like Bob's Burgers voice.
Yeah,
and Archer
it was
voice.
John Benjamin, yeah.
But home movies is like where it's at. Like, and I love their like songs that they like I love the music in home movies. It's fucking great.
Alright. You watch a lot of TV?
I wish I could watch more TV. I haven't, since I started school 3 years ago, I haven't really been able to since if I could, I would probably like to zone out on like Game of Thrones just because I have to finish it. But really, I'm just kind of sad and disappointed that there's nothing that really exciting out there for me to watch, I've been watching Human Planet. That shit's awesome. I don't know if you've seen it.
Is that the one on the History Channel?
It's like I don't know who does it, but it's like Planet Earth,
Right,
but
okay, yeah.
with more content, and it's called Human Planet.
Alright, was the one I was thinking of.
It's fucking great. I watch like kung fu movies a lot because my stepdad wants me to start teaching beginners classes, and so like I have to get back on my kung fu lab, watching Tai Chi Master and shit like that. I could. More kung fu movies.
Alright. Alright, I think you got enough.
Okay.